From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon and welcome to your MTN News this Wednesday. I'm Augusta McDonnell. Our top story today, 3 Good Samaritans are dead, including a juvenile, after they were hit and killed by a semi yesterday. The Montana Highway Patrol says the 3 were trying to help a driver who slid off of Interstate 90 near Frenchtown. Troopers say an SUV was traveling east on I-90 when it lost control and slid off the highway. This happened about 3 a.m. 2 vehicles then stopped to help. 2 men outside of their vehicles while helping with medical aid were struck and killed by a semi-truck, again, that had lost control. That tractor trailer then struck the 2 parked cars, killing a juvenile inside and severely injuring another. And in southwest Montana, a Butte patrol car and an ambulance were hit by 2 separate vehicles this week while working the same accident scene. MTN's John Amy tells us why first responders say it's important for motorists to give them room.
Some emergency responders who were working a bad accident here on the highway outside of Butte had their lives put in peril when some motorists lost control of their vehicles while driving through the accident scene. It's another reminder that motorists need to give these emergency responders space.
Absolutely. Close calls are very scary for EMS professionals and for any first responder.
A Butte police car and an A1 ambulance were each hit by 2 different cars while they were working a multi-crash accident on Interstate 90 west of Butte on February 17th due to slick road conditions.
Fortunately, the officer was not in the vehicle, and like I told the officer, it's easier to replace vehicles than it is police officers, so we're fortunate that nobody was injured.
Well, this is the ambulance that was hit at the scene of the accident. A car sideswiped it and dented this portion of it. Then the vehicle did a 180 and then slammed right here into the fender, doing major damage here.
You're on the side of the road with traffic coming down next to you, and we'll have semis that'll come through an accident scene still doing interstate quality speeds as you're walking around on your own well-being. If you were to get hit by that, it would be a fatal injury for sure.
Fortunately, no one was injured in the primary accident or the secondary ones, but motorists are warned that they are required by law to give first responders safe space to work.
Slow down as soon as possible. Don't be in a rush if there's anyone behind you that's trying to go a little bit faster. You can make us safer by just setting the tone and setting the speed through that emergency zone. And
we're going to be dealing with icy conditions now until, I don't know, maybe July. That's always a good idea to just leave a little earlier and not be in a hurry. Remember, you're not the only one that's using the road.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
A cold start to Wednesday for Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. Taking a live look outside. Our Stockman Bank camera looking at Billings looks positively Arctic, but the temperatures are starting to rise. Now, we had a lot of very cold overnight lows today. Had a record-breaking low of 28 below in Great Falls. Also, record-breaking low of 19 below in Billings. Baker broke a record at 33 below, 27 below in Sheridan. And look at that, 41 degrees below zero in Jordan. Might not be a record, but it's unbelievably cold. But there is some good news. If you don't like temperatures this cold, we have a warming trend ahead. Some big changes rapidly. Your forecast coming up.
Now let's take a look at some of today's top headlines. In your leading look at the Montana legislature, a bill that would allow people to sue medical providers who administer transgender treatments has passed the Senate. Senate Bill 218 passed the 3rd reading on a vote of 30 to 20, and it's now headed to the House. The bill makes clinicians who provide medical transgender treatments or gender-affirming care directly liable if the treatments cause the patient any physical, psychological, emotional, or physiological harm. Patients have up to 25 years after the treatment to bring suit. And the off-duty Yellowstone County Sheriff's deputy who struck a house in the Billings Heights on Saturday before fleeing the scene suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound shortly after, according to the sheriff. The Yellowstone County Sheriff identified the deputy as Jason Thompson, a 5-year veteran of the agency. Thompson's condition is currently not being released. The Montana Highway Patrol is still investigating this crash while the Billings Police Department is investigating the shooting. And a woman in Lake County was found dead in her home in what Polson police described as suspicious circumstances. 48-year-old Kimberly Goodson hadn't been heard from for a few days. Officers conducted what's called a welfare check and discovered her body, then contacted the Lake County Sheriff and Coroner's Office. After processing the scene, her body was sent to the state medical examiner for autopsy to determine the cause and manner of death. This case remains under investigation. We'll release more information as we know more. A man is in custody after shooting at a Polson police officer on February 14th. MTN's Caroline Weiss talked with the Polson police chief to break down what we know about what happened.
Friday night, a Polson police officer was shot at during a traffic stop on this stretch of Highway 93.
Our officer gave chase, continued to pursue, which is mighty brave of an officer, right? After getting approximately 20 or so rounds shot at your car. He continues the pursuit.
Around midnight, Polson police officer Michael Wharton pulled over a speeding vehicle near the intersection of Highway 93 and Rocky Point.
The vehicle slows down like they're going to stop.
Instead of stopping, the driver opened fire on Wharton and his police car.
A couple rounds in the windshield, a couple rounds entered the cab, a couple rounds in the tires, and the rest went in the engine block, and some skipped down the highway. Thank goodness it was midnight, so there wasn't a lot of traffic out.
The suspect, identified as Cameron Francis, took off towards Kalispell. Officer Wharton chased him until his police cruiser broke down from the damage.
Was his safety and his family at jeopardy?
Francis was arrested about 45 minutes later near Elmo with help from the Flathead Tribal Police Department and the Lake County Sheriff's Office.
We have a pretty big first responder program. And I mean, that's just the Montana way, right? In Small Valley, it takes everybody for something like this.
Officer Wharton was minorly injured by broken glass.
I'll say, all things considered, he's doing good. Everybody knows him as Officer Wharton, but around here, he's Mike, right? And people forget that officers have families, officers have lives, officers have feelings.
And his department and chief are very proud of him.
He's a champion. All our officers are guardians of Polson, is how I like to refer to it. And they'll do what they need to do.
Francis, from California, made his initial appearance in Lake County Court Tuesday. He's being held on $2 million bail in the Lake County Detention Center. In Polson, Caroline Weiss, MTN News.
As we've reported, 35,000 U.S. Forest Service employees are losing their jobs as the president continues a push to slash government spending. That includes 360 workers in Montana, with at least 9 of those coming in Red Lodge. But as MTN's Haley Monaco reports, the decision is leaving those who are now out of work devastated and worried about Montana's future.
With the below zero temps and snow covering much of our state, many Montanans are counting down the days until they can get outside and recreate in the summer. But this year, things may look a lot different.
I wanted to be somewhere where the land felt expansive and looked the way that it used to look.
From mountains, rivers, and the trails that get us there, Montana is one of the best places to head outdoors.
It's a dream job because I get to be in a place that I care about.
And for many, it was the best place to work.
It was crushing. You know, it's such a big piece of my life. I've dedicated my entire life and working experience to this.
For the past 4 years, Adam Sadowski has helped build and clear trails in the Beartooth Ranger District. He says he's one of 9 employees based in Red Lodge now without a job.
I was in Red Lodge for 4 years, and I was the crew lead for the last 3. Everybody below me was terminated.
It's just crazy to me that a swipe of a pen is affecting so many people with utter disregard for not just federal employees, but the public too.
Stephen Gutierrez is the national business representative for federal employees, which represents Forest Service employees nationwide. And he knows, more than most, the impact the layoffs of thousands of U.S. Forest and National Park Service employees could have on all who enjoy the great outdoors.
They're going to see trails that aren't opened, trash cans overfilled because they're not being taken out. They're going to see wildfires go unmitigated, right?
We were doing this job for you and for the land.
At least 360 Forest Service workers in Montana are losing their jobs.
They all received a blanket template email saying their poor performance was not in the public's interest. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Their way of life, dream jobs, gone in an instant.
We are more so concerned about the impacts to the land and to the work that we've invested our lives into.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.